Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture. So we have started with chapter 15, life processes in living organisms. We studied about two life processes, transportation in plants, excretion in plants and excretion in human beings. Now today we will be studying about control and coordination in plants and control and coordination in human beings. Okay, the first topic is control and coordination. Now there are two questions on page number 168 under coordination heading. Think about it. Sometimes while eating we bite our own finger or tongue by mistake. You might have experienced this. This is due to lack of coordination. You might be thinking of something or seeing somewhere else, concentrating somewhere else, then it happens. It is due to lack of coordination. Sometimes we choke while eating in a hurry. Now while we are eating, there is a flap on the windpipe. The windpipe is in the front and the food pipe is in the back side. Okay, now when we are swallowing food, then the epiglottis covers the windpipe and the food enters into the food pipe. Okay, but if we talk while we are eating, then there are chances of the food particles entering into the windpipe because the epiglottis opens while we talk. Okay, so due to that there are chances of choking while eating in a hurry. So these are the two questions. Okay, now what do you mean by control and what do you mean by coordination? Control and coordination is brought about in both plants and animals. Now what is control? You may see systematic regulation of different processes. You know there are different processes taking place in human body also and in every organism also. Okay, so the systematic regulation of these different processes, that is called as control. Coordination, now all the processes has to be coordinated. For example, when we are eating, our eyes, our nose, our mouth, okay, our hands, everything is in coordination. It is working together one after the other or along with each other simultaneously. That means they are in coordination. So what is coordination? Bringing about the different processes in a proper sequence. You may underline these two sentences on page number 168, second last paragraph. What is control and what is coordination? Now homeostasis. There is a proper internal environment in our body where the concentration of different substances inside a cell, outside the cell, okay, inside our body, and the different systems in our body are functioning in coordination with each other. That condition, it is said to be homeostasis. We will see proper coordination between various systems of an organism helps to maintain a state of equilibrium. Equilibrium means balance. Okay, their body is balanced. If there is any kind of imbalance, then we will get some type of disorders. Our body will show by fever or stomach ache or vomiting, etc. Okay, these are indications that in our body there is imbalance. Okay, there is no equilibrium. So what is homeostasis? Proper coordination between the various systems of an organism helps to maintain a state of equilibrium. That state of equilibrium is called as homeostasis, and this is essential for optimal efficiency or optimal functioning of the body. Optimal means in maximum conditions, in proper conditions. Okay, so these three definitions you may mark on page number 68: control, coordination and homeostasis. Now the topic coordination in plants. In plants also there is coordination which is seen. It responds to a particular stimuli. Now what do you mean by stimuli? Stimuli is the changes which take place in the environment. That means the environment means not only the atmosphere, whatever is outside the body. Okay, whatever is outside the body is the environment for that body. Any type of change which is taking place in the environment, to that change a plant body responds. Okay, that is said to be stimuli. That change is said to be stimuli. Plural is stimuli, singular is stimulus. Okay. Now coordination in plants. Okay, response to stimuli. There are two types of movements: growth relevant movements and growth irrelevant movements. Growth relevant means growth dependent. That means there is growth occurring due to stimulus. Okay, this stimuli, due to that stimuli there is growth occurring in the plant. That is said to be growth relevant movements. Where the growth is shown, this is also called as tropism or tropic movement. So what do you mean by tropic movement? The definition is there on page number 169. Movement or growth of the plant in response to an external stimulus is called as tropical movement or tropism. Okay, so what is the main thing? The main thing is that there is growth due to a particular stimuli. Now there are different types of stimuli. What are they? Light, chemicals, water, gravity, touch. These are the different stimulus. For example, the first one is light. Plants respond to light. If you keep a potted plant in your house towards a window, you may see that after some days the plant will go towards light. The plant will grow towards light. That means there is growth towards a particular stimuli, that is light. That response shown by the plant to a particular stimuli, that is light, it is called as phototropism. Okay, it is called as phototropism. Similarly, chemotropism, towards the chemicals in the soil, we can say in search of some chemicals, in some search of some nutrients, the roots grow. Okay, otherwise there is an example given, page number 169. Observe, under that they have given a diagram of pollen tube growing towards the ovule. Now you may see, you might have learnt this, the pollen falls on the stigma of the gynoecium, that is the female reproductive part of the flower. From the pollen grain, a tube grows towards the ovary. There is a red colored line which is shown, that is growing towards the ovary. It is not ready-made present inside the flower. It is grown after the pollen grain falls on the flower. Okay, that growth is in response to the chemicals which are produced inside the ovary. You may see the ovary, the yellow colored part is the ovary. So from the portion, the tip of that stigma, from there it has to reach the ovary through the pollen tube. The pollen tube grows till there. That growth is in response to the chemicals which are present in the ovary. So it is an example of chemotropism. So what is chemotropism? The movement of a plant in response to chemicals, it is called as chemotropism. Similarly, roots, you may see it grows towards water, in search of water. The movement of plants in search of water in response to water is called as hydrotropism. Gravitropism is towards gravity. Roots grow towards gravity. Okay, so the response, the movement or growth of a plant in response to gravity, it is called as gravitropism. And one more is there, thigmotropism. Thigmotropism diagram has been given on page number 169. The tendrils of a plant, you might have seen climbers. Those climbers, they are having tendrils like this towards its one end. When it comes in contact with a particular support, they have a tendency to grow around that support. Okay, that means if there is a climber near a tree, then that climber, it grows around, along with that tree, on that tree. It can grow on that, it can climb on that tree, isn't it? Okay, that is with the help of tendrils. So those tendrils grow in response to touch. Okay, according to the surface of the plant, of the tree, that tendril will grow. So the movement or growth of a plant in response to touch is called as thigmotropism. These are the different types of tropic movements in the topic coordination in plants. What are they? Phototropism, that is response to light. Chemotropism, that is response to chemicals. Hydrotropism, that is response to water. Gravitropism, that is response to gravity. And thigmotropism, that is response to touch. Okay. Now, the growth of these plants, in this case there is a particular movement or growth of the plant which is shown. The next is growth irrelevant movements. In growth irrelevant movements, there is no growth, but there is movement. I will tell you with the help of an example. Touch me not plant. Okay, touch me not plant, when you touch it, it closes. Okay, it closes. Is there any growth? There is no growth, but there is movement. Such movements in response to stimuli. In that case, what is the stimuli? It is the touch. Okay, so the type of movement in which there is no growth, it is called as growth irrelevant movement, and the type of movement in which there is growth, it is called as growth relevant movement, also called as tropical movement, also called as tropism. Now, in our textbook, we have been given some examples. The first is about touch me not or mimosa plant. You might have seen, if you touch the mimosa plant, it closes. Actually, there are the cells near. The cells in the mimosa plant, they are having some amount of water. When we touch or anything touches the mimosa plant, then the water in those cells, it moves to some other place inside the plant itself. Due to that movement, the electrochemical impulses are generated. Okay, the electrochemical impulses, that means signals, messages, are generated inside the plant body, and it is transmitted, due to which the cells changes its shape and the plant closes. Okay, this is a similar action which is taking place in all other plants also. The second example is of Venus flytrap. It is an insectivorous plant. It is attractive so that the insects get attracted. The insects come and sit on the flower of the Venus flytrap. It traps the insect and kills it. Now, why does the Venus flytrap? It traps insects. It is for its need of nitrogen. It cannot get nitrogen directly from the soil. So instead of getting it from the soil, they kill the insects and from the digest the insects and get nitrogen from them. Okay, because they might be growing in soil which contains less amount of nitrogen. Next is lotus flower. Lotus flower blooms at the daytime. That means it is response to light. Tuberose, it opens at night. That means it is response to darkness. Drosera is again an insectivorous plant. When the insect comes and sit on the flower, it senses it. There is sensation of touch. Okay, that is the stimuli there, and it traps the insect. In case of balsam plant, there is a particular time. At that particular time, the seeds are open. The seeds are dehisced. That means dispersed into the atmosphere and it falls on the soil. Okay, that opening of particular pod, that is called as, that is example of a growth irrelevant movement which takes place at a particular time. So these are examples of growth irrelevant movements. So what are the two types of movements shown in plants? It is growth relevant movement and growth irrelevant movement. What is growth relevant movement? Called as tropism or tropical movement, and these are the type of different growth related movements. Now these growth related movements takes place with the help of some hormones which are produced in the plant body. Okay, so in the plant body also some hormones are produced. What are they? They are auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, abscisic acid. These are the four hormones which are produced in the plant body. Auxins help in enlargement of the cells. That means the growth of the cells. Gibberellins help in stem elongation. Cytokinins help in cell division. Okay, one cell divides into two, two cells divides into four, and that is how it grows. Abscisic acid, it prevention and retardation of growth and leaf wilting. Now this abscisic acid is acting opposite to that of auxin, gibberellin and cytokinin. These three help in growth of the plant and this help in aging of the plant. Okay, aging of the plant. We had discussed in the other lecture about fruits, flowers falling off, leaves falling off. It takes place with the help of this hormone, that is abscisic acid. This question could be asked as a match the pair question or in the form of a 2-mark question. Okay, 2-mark question. You have to write the name of the hormones and their functions. It has been given in a box on page number 169. Okay, you may mark. Now the next is coordination in human beings. Coordination in human beings takes place with the help of basically two systems, that is nervous system and endocrine system. Nervous system, that is nervous control. Endocrine system, that is chemical control. That means with the help of chemicals, that is called as hormones. And nervous system, nervous control with the help of nerves. Nervous control takes place with the help of nerve cells and neuroglia. Nerve cells, these are the structural and functional unit of the nervous system. Just like we studied about kidney, in kidney nephron was the structural and functional unit of excretory system. Okay, that was nephron. This is neuron. Okay, so nerve cells are also called as neurons, and the supporting cells of these nerves, they are called as neuroglia. The supporting cells of neurons are called as neuroglia. The chemical control is brought about by the endocrine glands which are present in our body, and they produce chemicals, particular chemicals. Those chemicals are called as hormones. So first we will study about the nervous system. Nervous system is basically made up of nerve cells or neurons. Structure of neuron is a very important question. The diagram is given on page number 171. Okay, the diagram, you may see these branched structures, they are called as dendrites. The complete, along with dendrites, the central part, that is called as cell body. In the middle of the cell body there is a nucleus. One branch is long. Okay, that long branch, it is called as axon. This is called as axon. This long branch is called as axon, and the ends are called as axon terminals. These axon consists of small cells which are called as Schwann's cell. Those Schwann cells has nodes. Okay, one finishes, the other starts. There is a place in the middle, that nodes. It is called as node of Ranvier, and it is covered by a protein sheath that is called as myelin sheath. Protein covering, myelin sheath. Okay, or myelin sheath. So this is the structure of neuron. The branched structures are called as dendrites. The main part of the cell, that is the cell body. Inside the cell body there is a nucleus. The long branch is called as axon. The axon ends in axon terminals. The axon is made up of cells called as Schwann cells. There are nodes of Ranvier, and it is covered by a sheath called as myelin sheath. Okay, now this is one nerve cell. Like this, several nerve cells are connected one after the other. For example, I will show you. If this is one nerve cell, this is the dendrite, this is the axon, this is the nerve axon terminal. Another is present like this here, like this. Okay, one after the other. This is one neuron, this is another neuron. They are connected one after. They are not connected like this. They are just near to each other. There is no connection. They are just near to each other. That is how a nerve is formed. Okay, so a nerve could be several meters long. It could be at least one neuron could be even a meter long. Okay, so one neuron, another neuron, third neuron, fourth neuron, one after the other, they combine to form a nerve. Okay. Now, these neurons, when they are connected one after the other, there is a space here. Okay, there is a space here. That space, it is called as synapse. It is called as synapse. The space in between two neurons, it is called as synapse. Now consider, here there is skin. Okay, here there is skin. Now I am pinching here. Okay, I am pinching here means there is a feeling of sensation there. It is converted into electrochemical impulses. Those electrochemical impulses are taken by the dendrites. Dendrites pass it on to the cell body. From the cell body, it enters into the axon. It passes on through the axon. It reaches the axon terminal. After reaching the axon terminal, there are some chemicals which are produced in the axon terminal. Those chemicals are transmitted into that particular synapse. From the synapse, those neurotransmitters, it enter into the dendrites of the next neuron. From dendrites to cell body to axon, axon to axon terminal to the next synapse. From the synapse to dendrite, dendrite to cell body to axon, axon to axon terminal to next synapse. Okay, so the electrochemical impulses travel like this and reach the effector organ. Okay, effector organ. What is the effector organ? The effector organ is generally the muscle. Effector organ is generally the muscle. That means if somebody pinches me, I will take my hand backward. Okay, immediately, unknowingly also. Knowingly I will do, but unknowingly also I can do it. Okay, I will do it. That means involuntarily. That involuntary action, okay, it is done by this effector organ, that is muscle. The shape of the muscle changes, okay, of the muscle cell changes. You know that muscle cells are made up of some particular type of proteins who has the ability of contraction and relaxation. By the process of contraction and relaxation, the shape of the muscle changes and the effect is seen on the muscle. Now, when there is a muscle here also, if this is the muscle, these are the axon terminals. Here also there is a place which is called as neuromuscular junction. Okay, neuromuscular junction. That means the junction in between neuron and muscle. Okay, in this neuromuscular junction also the neurotransmitters are transferred and the electrochemical impulses are transferred. Okay, that's all which is there in your syllabus about the structure of neuron. Okay, so here you have to study the structure of neuron, especially the diagram and a short note on neuron and what do you mean by synapse. Okay, these are the questions. Now the neurons are of three types. Nerve cells are of three types: sensory neuron, motor neuron and association neuron. Sensory neurons transfer the electrochemical impulses from sensory organs to the brain. Okay, it carry the impulses from sensory organs to the brain, and motor neuron carry impulses from brain to effector organs. Now here I told you from skin to muscle, it is not direct. I just told you about the transmission. That means there is synapse in between. Okay, but it is not this way. It goes to brain and comes back from brain. Okay, but it is traveling in this manner. So there are three types of neurons: sensory neuron, motor neuron and association neuron. Sensory neuron, sensory organs to the brain. Motor neurons carry impulses from brain to the effector organ, that is muscle. And association neurons do the work in between, that is it helps in integration of the nervous system. Now you may take page number 172. 172. Which are the sensory organs of an organism? what is their function? Which are the sensory organs? It is eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. Where are gustatory and olfactory nerves to be found? Gustatory nerves means it is concerned with taste, which is present in the mouth. Olfactory nerves are concerned with smell and it is present in the nose. Okay, so this is about the introduction about coordination in human beings. So coordination in plants and coordination in human beings. These are the two topics for today. You may go through the textbook. If you are having any doubt, you may ask. Thank you.